Hello, it's me, Annalisa, with my spiritual friend. I am back. It is Sunday, September 26th, 2021. I hope everybody is well. Excuse me. We are here today. Hello, Starry Sky. Hi, KK. What's new? I'm doing my live chats, my manifesting chats. Hi, new chapter on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays at 10:30 a.m. I may adjust the time at some point, but we'll see. Just like maybe a half hour later, or maybe go earlier or something like that. But I'll figure that out. I'm trying to figure out my tiny bit of morning time alone that I get where there's no kids. Light energy 555 silent tarot. Nice to meet you. It's $5 per question. KK will give you all the information. 30% goes to charity. I always give to the Community Food Bank of Newark, or of New Jersey, which is in Newark, because every dollar that you donate provides 3 meals, and a little goes a long way. So that's fantastic. Hi, Allie. So I'm doing these chats. I'm really enjoying them. I hope everybody else likes them as well. I had we had an interesting day yesterday. And my youngest, I had to take her for a COVID test this morning. She's got sniffles and coughing and sneezing and a little bit of a low-grade fever. And she started preschool. So, can't be too safe. So got to shove it was one of the self ones where you get to shove the swab in, and I haven't swabbed anybody's nose and done a nasal swab in 12 years, 11 years, over 11 years. No, I think today was my last day of work 11 years ago as a nurse. I never went back. Happy anniversary, happy new career. Okay. So, that's awesome. I actually really like New Jersey. I think New Jersey gets a little bit of a bad rap, but it's a really beautiful area. We drove to the northwest corner of New Jersey yesterday. My daughter was feeling just kind of a little but fine. But then as the day progressed, it got worse, but we were outdoors and not really near anybody anyway. We were, so luckily, not exposing her to anybody, but yeah. Okay, so and we were wearing masks and all of that good stuff because I'm psychotic about wearing masks. And now we are home. Okay, Linda, I will check. I thought about you. I need to send you a quick email. I will check the PayPal. So let's get started. No, I am actually much less than an hour. If there's traffic, it can be an hour to 2 hours. But if there's no traffic, it takes us no time at all to get into the Midtown, 30 minutes. So. Debbie, when do I see you getting better health-wise with what's currently going on? Okay. Yes, I like where we live because it's close enough to the city, but it also feels like you're not really, there's lots of hiking and all that kind of stuff that you can do out here. Okay, let's see, Debbie, where are you at with your current health situation? My youngest is I'm listening to her. She's talking super loud because I think her ears are getting full. And I'm only laughing because it's talking to she's like a mini old lady. What? Sorry. Okay. There's something significant that will come up in 3 weeks as far as your health stuff, but I don't think it's it feels more like a leveling off or feeling like finding a balancing out. I still think that they need to do another adjustment on your meds. So I think they might have to bump it up one more time or add if you're just getting progesterone, they might have to add a little I don't know what the other one would be. I don't know that it would be estrogen because that doesn't feel right when I say it, but it just feels like there's something else that they need to add in order to adjust it better for you. Um, do you have like an alopecia or something? Because they're showing me with your hands and your hair. This has nothing to do with what that, but I don't know why they're showing it to me, but like hair kind of falling out um, or if they're showing me that there's like an alopecia spot or something, but there's something with this and it's making me feel like maybe your thyroid should be checked as well. Like that's the feeling I get is like there's something else going on that it's like there needs to be another adjustment, but it's not. They're like kind of maybe missing something. Does that make any sense, Devery? Okay, Shar, I'll check in just a minute. Let me turn my heater on. It's a little chilly down here. I'm excited because it's starting to feel like fall. And I like fall. Okay, so you do have hair falling out. So I feel like there's something else that needs to be so either needs to also check your thyroid but there's something else that's not quite right. So there's going to be, so it might be, is 3 weeks when your current refill will be done. Because it just feels like, I have this weird, by the way, I like Ricolas, but it's like this weird obsession with them started when in my, no, I can't think of it. Yes. Okay. So that's what I'm getting with the 3 and then other stuff. So I feel like don't worry about the hair falling out now because it will resolve itself. It does feel like it has to do with needing an adjustment in the hormones and it maybe also needing to look at the thyroid. I don't know if you're comfortable saying something to her about that, like checking your thyroid, making sure it's okay. Oh, that sounds great. Yes, I am. That's why I do these. Thank you. I think it would be really lovely if you would subscribe and like and all that stuff if you'd like to, if you feel so inclined. I would be ever so grateful. And I hope to see you again. Okay, so Devery, I just feel like it might be something like to kind of inch and say to her, like, have you, like, if she hasn't checked your thyroid panel, that maybe that might be a good thing to do. Thank you so much. Thank you for the love and support. That's what I would look at. And your second one about the job, I literally got, and I know this sounds silly, but it feels like it's almost like keep looking for the job. They're not giving me an exact time frame, and I don't understand why when they don't give me an exact time frame, because you know that they give me time frames. Sometimes it's because it's not really so much about the time, it's about the lesson that's in that journey for us, which I know feels like a super duper cop out. So I'm like, and they just keep saying to me, trust in the magic, trust in the magic, trust in the magic, trust in the magic. So I feel like it keeps going back to the manifesting thing. It's not just about being positive. It's about knowing that the things you create will, and the things that you desire and the way that you think will manifest itself. It has to show up by the law of assumption. It has to show up. And I saw this happen. Like, I mean, I see it happen all the time, but like, I don't know if live manifesting chat where like all the trolls came in and KK's like laughing because she's like, this is like literally manifesting happening right in front of you. So it feels like just really paying attention to what your thoughts are in those moments as you're looking for jobs. Are you looking and going, I got this, this is in the bag? Here's the thing. I said this to a friend of mine who said she applied for a job. She's like, I really hope to hear back from them. I probably just will have to bug them. And I said, okay, let's hold up and look at this. And I keep seeing this all over. It's like everybody, like finding people to work is hard. there are that all like businesses in all sectors are having a really hard time finding employees. Why? Probably because they don't pay enough. Let's be honest. Probably because they don't give the right benefits. Probably because they are trying to cut corners and also get huge tax write-offs and cuts and all of that stuff. Um, let's just say that. Um, so stop doubting yourself. So it should just be like, if you go to the matter of fact, like, of course I'm going to get the job that I want. Of course they're going to want me because hello, they need people to work. Like if you can't see it that you're the most valuable and chosen one, like if you're having a harder time wrapping your head around that and doubting that, then just go to the obvious. They need people to work. I think that's part of the reason why I never felt like I wasn't a shoe-in for a job when I was interviewing for nursing positions, and that I would get offered every single job. And like, I wasn't worried about finding a travel position. I just was more like, I passed up travel jobs because I specifically wanted to work in Manhattan for my first assignment. After that, I took assignments in like the Bronx and Brooklyn and stuff. But until I had been here, I was very specific about where I wanted my assignment. And I was kind of just like, everybody needs nurses, like, and everybody needs workers right now. So you need to like just get out of your mind that like it's not there, it's not happening, I can't find it, whatever. I even saw like an ad. Hi, Laura. I even saw an ad like pop up on my Instagram. I was like, jobs you can do, or maybe it was on my YouTube. I don't know, jobs you can do from home online right now. And it was like, or maybe it was like somebody's YouTube video. I don't remember, but I quick scrolled through it and I was like, oh, I wonder what I can tell. But it was like, Amazon has all these positions available for people to do online. And then there's like 4 other businesses listed, but it's like, the jobs are there and you need to decide the job's there. The one I want is mine. The perfect one is there. And of course they're going to want me because they're hiring and they're having, everybody needs to hire somebody. So it becomes like, don't doubt yourself that it's possible. Go to the obvious. The obvious is people aren't getting, jobs are having a hard time finding employees. So they need me. Don't wish her the best. Know she's got it. See it, envision it for her, manifest it for her. That's the way I look at it. And I think that's why I was always offered every single job in nursing. I don't want to like, not that I'm like, oh, but it's like, I think I assumed the like, because I assumed it happened. Oh, Laura, I think I emailed you because of that. I think I emailed you. So could you look for that? Because I emailed like 3 people at the end because it was buffering so bad. And it was something with my internet. My daughter was just so sad. Had nothing to do with her playing. She was like, oh my God, I can't even. So go outside, kid. Go get dirty. I'm just kidding. Yeah, look in the emails because I'm pretty sure I emailed 3 people because I wanted to make sure that you got your answers, and I knew that there's no way I would remember this week. But I'm pretty sure I emailed you because when you pay through PayPal, I have access to do those things, and that's one thing I really like about it. I'm looking for my pen to erase my names. So that's what I keep feeling like is, Deborah, is what's going on with you, is that it would be really beneficial for you to really go to the law of assumption, go, of course, it's mine, it's done. There's something about with 3 and the number 4, but I don't feel like it's timing. I feel like it's more about interviewing and things coming up. I do feel like before the end of the year, you will find the job that you're looking for. I don't know what it is that you're looking for, but it's like, it's weird that I keep getting something about like, I don't know if you would do something online for like Christmas tree shops or something related to holiday, some kind of like, even though Christmas tree shops, I always thought it was like a giant Christmas org. It's not. Do you want to ask another question? Because I feel like I don't have a time for you on that, and I can't give you an answer, and they're not giving it to me. But it is just really important to focus on the law of assumption and just assuming that you have the job, it's yours, instead of doubting and thinking like, there's no way this job could be out there for me because it's too perfect. It's like that idea where we think that everybody wants to do what we do. And I was reading a quick story, and I don't remember this person's name, I wrote it down somewhere in one of my notebooks because I was going to tell the story, but it's like this famous slackliner where they like it's basically like tightrope walking, but the rope isn't tight. It's like bends and move. It's like, sways. And it was like from the Eiffel Tower across the Seine River or something like that. Like something insane. And we're like, this is something they manifested and wanted to do. Now, who really wants to do that? Like, so stop thinking that everybody wants the same thing. There's not a million people out there gunning for your job. Not everybody wants to work online. Not everybody has a dream that would be an online type job. Hi, Vanessa. Will your financial situation get better? I heard not for like 6 months. So it feels like, they said you're still focusing on lack. And the idea of believing you're rich before you actually have it in your 3D is not about, I'm going to go out and spend money I don't have. It's that when you do have to spend money or when you get a bill that comes in, you don't look at it with disdain or hatred or like, that disgusting feeling. You just go, oh, cool. I got it. It's done. It's paid. I'm good. That's fine. And you write the check out and you move along and you're like, I'm so grateful I did this today. Like, it sounds silly, but it's like if you remove the negative energy from it, it starts to make it like less heavier, energy, and it lightens the energy and brings things in. You're welcome, Laura. So, okay. And I know, sometimes when we have a bigger story in our head, and sometimes we get bigger stories in our head where it comes to like our success and love, that it's harder to do. So we create this, it's harder, it's so much bigger than anything. So it's harder. We create this expanded timeline around it. So it has to take longer, but it doesn't. It's the same as doing anything else, really. Okay. Allie, you're here. If you're here, write your questions. Mallory, if you're here, you can write your question. Oh, Allie, you are here because you've been chatting. That's what happens with psychic amnesia. Just, will I do well this semester? And what will my future husband be like? Will like about me? All right. I'm going to do these questions, but then I'm going to also like you on this one because this is all manifesting. So like flip the script on the husband thing. It's like, what will he like about you? What would he not like about you? Like, duh, there's everything to like about you, right? So that tells me self-concept, 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 self-concept. Okay. So I'm going to tell you this, that it's not about your personality, because he totally loves your personality, obviously, right? Because what's not to love? But the thing that he it's like your hair, like it's the way it smells and how soft it is, and your eyes. So it's like they said it'll feel like he could gaze into your eyes forever, and he'll tell you that. So that's that. But I really feel like they're also kind of like, it should be like, or what do I really like about him, and decide what it is that's, like, oh, of course he loves me because I'm amazing. And he is also, because he's going to be a reflection of you, right? So if you don't feel good about yourself, he's going to be a reflection of how you see yourself. So he's going to treat you exactly in those ways, right? Okay. And then the other one you asked was, of course, you're going to do well this semester. Quit doubting yourself. Do you have like a stats class or math class? They're showing me math being like the thing where you're feeling the biggest stick on this semester. Okay, so after Leo sign, I have Linda for one, and she said she doesn't have good reception, so I'll have to check my email on that one. Shar for 2, And Laura for 1. Okay. You're taking math. Okay. So math is like, here's the thing. And I thought this is like a really good, why like the new math style doesn't like, I'm not like totally freaked out by it. I'm like, oh, that's the worst. What are my kids doing? It should always be this one way. I always had a different way of figuring out problems and always coming up with the correct answer, but I just always worked the problem differently than necessarily like, especially in nursing school, they'd be like, this is your formula. And I'd be like, no. And I just do it my own way. And they're like, whatever you're doing, don't get caught up in like that. It's like, there's only one way to the answer. I just feel like you need to know that there's different ways to solve the problem and not stress out about it. And that math is really like it's just rules and like following steps, that it's not really that complex. And so if you in your head you're constantly going, it's hard, it's hard, it's hard, it's hard, it's hard, it's so hard, I can't do it, then you're not going to ever be able to do it. But if you're just like, I just have to put the work in and it'll be fine, and like maybe doing some breathing techniques, like quit psyching yourself out, because I feel like that's your biggest problem, is you're psyching yourself out. It's just all these experiences I remember having when I was, especially in nursing school, and people are like, it's so hard. I'm like, it's not hard. It's memorization, or it's not hard. It's just like doing the work. Like, don't psych yourself out. And like, or like they'd say, well, this teacher's the worst. And I always liked the worst teachers. I always like, I had no problems with them. The really, really nice ones, I always felt like I wasn't learning enough from them, or like they weren't challenging enough. So it's all in your head. Stop talking yourself, or like stop acting like you're not smart and you're not, because you are. Stop telling yourself that it's impossible, because it's not. It may be more work for some people than others, but it's not impossible. And I even feel like finding a study partner would be really helpful for you, because I feel like, for whatever reason, talking it out helps it stick and click in your brain versus just like staring at it on the page. So maybe you're more of a hands-on learner versus just a visual, like rote memorization type stuff. You totally sabotaging yourself. But that's like, we all sabotage ourselves. That's why when we talk about manifesting, it's, and the law of assumption, like if you say I am, and whatever you follow it with has to be, if your beliefs create your reality. So if you believe math is completely impossible and difficult and it's so much work and I'll never get it done, then that's what's going to come to pass. Okay. All right, Mallory, you want to know about if Mr. Tony is here today? Tony's always here, isn't he? I literally feel like, I think this is you. I don't think this has to do with him, but I felt so like tight in my lungs, and then like almost like it's weird, like distended in my stomach. And then just like completely holding my breath and not breathing at all. I don't necessarily know that this is a physical thing or more of an energetic thing, that's like I need to release and let go. I need to go. And he said, it's important for you to move. It's important for you to move, and you're not moving. I know your foot thing is up, but it feels like finding a way to. Have you ever tried like Qigong or Tai Chi? I think it's Qigong is just the energy movement, not the actual like. But I just feel like needing to do, or you could do that Wim Hof breathing technique, but I just feel like, and do the beginner's one. Wim Hof is Wimhof, 2 words. It's a dude. It's named after him. And if you do the beginner's breathing technique, it just feels like I need movement to move this energy out of me, and I need to believe it's possible. I'm holding on to the old story. And he's like, stop holding on to the old story. Maybe it was your truth, but it's not your truth anymore. And he goes, this foot thing of yours is giving you too much time to be in your head about all the sad stuff and about all of the regrets. You're welcome, Allie. So try this Wim Hof breathing thing. Do the beginner's one. So what it does is it forces you to hyperventilate, and hyperventilating means blowing off a lot of CO2 and holding in a lot of O2, right? So when you blow off too much CO2, the physical experiences you're going to get are feeling lightheaded and dizzy. You might feel tingling and numbness in your hands. If you do it long enough, but you won't in these breathing techniques, your hands can contracture. So what happens is, as you do in the regular one, because the beginning one, I did the other one, and I'm kind of sticking to that. You do these 30 quick breaths in and out, and you hyperventilate. And even during them, I have to I get that anxious feeling, and I have to mentally go, it's okay. This is safe. You're okay. This is fine. You're going to get through this. I remind myself, because that's my ego going into panic mode, that I need to stop it. And it's the flight or fight. It's your way of trying to keep yourself safe. So I tell myself, it's okay. It's okay. You're safe. And then you go into this breath hold, and it's in the regular one, I haven't done the beginner one, but in the regular one, it's a minute. Hi, Tammy. And then for the first round and the second and third rounds, it's a minute and a half. And when I first saw that, I was like, are they fucking insane? How can I do this? But it's actually really easy to do, because you've blown off so much CO2. Your body sort of resets itself the right way. It's like building up the CO2 back in your body again by holding your breath. So you can hold your breath for quite a long time after doing that. And then you become not dizzy and stuff. And then you go into a quick deep breath, and then you go into the breathing technique again. I'll check for your payment in just a second. Oh boy, existential crisis, Tammy. So I would try it. It's I think that would be really helpful for you. And then movement. So even if it's just kind of swaying and listening to music and kind of moving energy through you, and it feels like you need to work on I am safe, I'm okay, I'm stable, and work on your old, rewriting your old story and understanding that who you were is not who you are today. Oftentimes we hold ourselves to these impossible standards that even when you're trying to change and grow and succeed and be better than you were in the past, you're oh, but everybody's going to see me as that person. Well, but you're not that person. You aren't the same person you were when you were 5. So it's give yourself permission to move past and move beyond, and know that it's okay and it's safe to do that. We all deserve to be able to do that. Okay, Tammy, I'll look. I'll look. Okay. You're welcome. Okay, Lana, I think I saw you. Okay, there you are. What does Spirit want me to know this week? What decisions go in my favor? Oh, thank you, Lana. Okay. I don't know exactly what this means, but they said, of course, it will fall in your favor, not as good as you hoped, but it's still very much in your favor. But it says, then they said, but there's room for growth. So it may be that, I'm trying to think of an example, it feels like with potential to earn more or something within 6 months of this signing period or whatever this period is. So I don't know what that means. Because logically in my head, I keep feeling like, oh, it's a court case, but I don't really know that that's what it is. So it's the way I'm getting it. It's like, it goes in your favor for sure, but it's not as much in your favor as you had hoped. Like maybe you wanted the whole kit and caboodle and it's just the caboodle. I don't know either way to say it. Uh, but it feels like, but there's room for growth beyond and actually have more than what you are hoping to have right now. So that's the only way I know how to say it. It's union related. So perhaps then it's like they say like, okay, this is in your favor. You were in the right, blah, 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 blah. But I don't know, this part we can't honor. But if you do steps A, B, C, and D over the next 6 months, then you'll get this compensation, which is actually more than whatever this little thing is that you're wanting. Like maybe they can't write, and I know this sounds like, I don't know what this is, like they can't have an apology in writing, but if you do X, Y, and Z, then after this, then it's like growth afterwards, or, something that's more. Hi, Michelle. Does that make any sense at all when I'm saying that? So it ends up being even more in your favor than you're like initially looking at it, but it's not immediate. And I do feel like you've been writing this down. So remember that sometimes when we, like maybe you've been writing an amount down for how much you want payment for it or whatever it is. And it's like, when we do that, sometimes they have to accept or deny. I feel like it's essentially accepting responsibilities, but they can't do this one little part of it for you. And I don't understand that. So I'm fully owning there's this one little part that they can do for you, but then over time, it's like better than you could have had it. And I don't know what that means, like room for growth or whatever. I feel like you'll get clarity on that when it comes into play. Like, so there's some part that you've been manifesting for this or envisioning, and it's like, you're going to get all of that, but it's not going to look initially like you got all of that. Okay. Like the initial thing isn't going to look like it's that. Please like and subscribe and all of that jazz. Okay, I'm checking my PayPal right now for everybody. Okay, after Laura, I have Tammy. Initials TS. I don't know what your screen name is. And Rosie, I don't know what your screen name is. Oh, there you are. Got you. So I don't know who TS is. Oh, there you are. Okay, you're on there. I just didn't see. So Tatiana has one, and then after Tatiana is Rosie, and Tammy is between Laura and Tatiana. Okay. Does that make sense when I say all of that? Like, it's like, it'll maybe look like it's not exactly what you wanted, but it's definitely in your favor. Just doesn't appear completely that way. Please like and subscribe. Starry Sky, are you here? I think you're here. And Leo sign. If you guys want to mark your questions. Oh, Jesus. Come on, guys. Literally, I heard after I said Jesus, they go A++. Look, that's what all of you guys are going to get. We think that we're stumbling, bumbling idiots here, right? We think we're stumbling, bumbling idiots, but You're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. It's this idea that I had this conversation with another mother whose daughter is in the same pre-K class as my youngest, and then her oldest and my middle kid are in the same grade. And I think they're in the same class this year. I don't know, but and she's like, I heard they're not teaching them or it's something below. And I was like, it's fine. Like how to read or whatever, work with alphabets. It's not as academic. And I'm like, that's fine. She's like, well, and I'm like, look, first my mom was a teacher and she's like, everybody learns to read by the time they're 14. Like, it's fine. Like, it's like, take the pressure off. And then I said to her too, I go, they teach them how to read in kindergarten. Why does she need to learn how to read before she gets to kindergarten for them to teach her how to read? Like, I was like, my goal is for her to learn to play with kids her own age and understand, like, because when she plays with her older sisters, they're like, oh, she's 4 or whatever. Like, and when you play with kids your own age, you gotta learn how to, like, figure the problems out and work together and do a little more teamwork. And I'll check. You just wish in a minute. So it's just this feeling of like, you don't have to know all of the answers before you get there. We're here to learn, right? We're here to learn. So the goal wasn't for us to come down here and be perfect. It was to come down here messy and learn. Come down here. Sometimes I wonder if we're popping out of something really. I mean, well, we kind of are popping out of something, let's be honest. But I just mean like, not that. That's not what I meant. I just always think of it as like we come down from some kind of spaceship instead of, I don't know. That's just weird. Whatever. Rambling. You're doing a really, really good job. And you're like, oh no, why wouldn't you? Of course, but your guys are like, you could go a little easier on yourself and others. If you want room for improvement, the improvement is go a little easier on yourself and others. Starry Sky. There you go. The expectation for perfection is just a little much. And by others, I don't mean like friends. By others, I feel like having a little more grace with family. Like, it doesn't mean don't have boundaries. It just means like realizing that they're not as awake as you are. And so they're not as self-aware and they're not as willing to be a little bit more introspective and heal. So it's like really they're doing the best with what they have and their limited capacity to understand how much control they have over things. Like, they're controlling things in this really weird, false human way that we tend to do until we understand that that's not really control. It's just a dizzying waste of energy. Yes, of course. KK. Okay. So I'll check the PayPal now and then I'll answer another person's question. I don't know who Pixel Delights is, but I have that after KK. And Raja after that. Oh, your Pixel. Okay, so you just wish after KK. And then there's Raja. But I don't know who that is. You're welcome, Starry Sky. All right, Leo sign, you're up. And then Linda. I think it was Linda who emailed me. Let me just check. Sorry. I'm like, what was I doing? Do you guys ever have that happen where you're like looking at something and you see something else and it's like, this is why I should not pull my phone out? But Lana, I think, hang on, where's my list? Why do I feel like I can't find her on here now? Oh, I did Lana's. Okay, never mind. Don't. Okay. Linda, you're here. You should be here. Okay. General reading for Linda. Got it. Done. Leo sign, are you here? Are you here? Oh, there you are. Okay. Will I have a conflict or quarrel with someone or have a major problem during the month of October? Did someone else tell you that was going to happen? Y'all, if you ever hear something that you don't like, just go, I'll manifest differently. All right. So let's see. So they're saying, no, you won't. But actually, what I feel like is happening is that you're creating little disturbances all over. So it's not like one big blowout. It's like little annoyances and irritations. And it's like even with like complete strangers where it's like you're getting annoyed or a little flustered, shall we say. Or getting like, oh, this is so getting weird stuff from people. It's just like these little sparks of stuff. So I feel like I have to tell you this example of like calling in stuff at work. I don't feel like it's at work at all. I actually feel like it's in just your everyday life, like not at work, but it's like calling in weird stuff like and it just feels like because you're kind of having this negative inner dialogue with yourself of like not being enough, not being valuable, and getting like frustrated and irritated with stuff and like rehearsing conversations. And then like it pops up, but not in the way that you rehearse in your head. It pops up in these little weird instances, like constantly feeling disrespected. So instead of like empowering yourself and saying, like, myself, I love myself, and do all that, you go into this like inner dialogue about like nobody respects me, nobody values me, nobody's giving me the like whatever, like I don't, like nobody appreciates the things I do. And then like but it pops up rather than in like big explosive arguments, it pops up in like people cutting you off on the road and then being angry about that. See, it just happens there too. Like these like weird little ways. So, and if you'd stop and be like, oh, I'm calling all this in and I just need to say like, I am respectful. I respect myself. I'm valuable. I love myself. I'm lovable. Whenever, instead of having an expectation when you do something kind, it's just like, I did that. I know it'll come back to me somehow, not from that person, even if that person never says thank you or acknowledges that you did something nice. So don't worry about it because it'll come back to you in some way or another, and just trusting in that. It just feels like it's going to come back to you in like weird little ways. And they're sort of saying like, really look at your inner dialogue, because it's not that it's going to have this big blow up. It's going to come to you like constant irritations instead. The example they were asking me to tell you is like, so when we don't feel good about ourselves and in those moments when we're feeling like everything's kind of falling apart and I'm just not doing a great job and nothing ever seems to work out. And instead of, it's like you're turning on the negative energy tap, and the easiest source for that is going to be the immediate person around you or the people that are closest to you, so that things won't necessarily be happening, but they'll be sending you negative energy by like immediately being angry at you for no reason at all. I still don't feel like a big blow up. So I don't know if somebody read for you and said there was going to be a big blow up or something you're worried about, but it doesn't feel like that. It just feels like all these like little annoyances. And then this awareness, we're going to go, oh, I was talking about this, and like making that shift. But I feel like you're going to actually have to go through them and experience them before it actually shifts. Because that's unfortunately the way some of us are. We're hard-headed and we hit ourselves against the wall, heads against the wall with a bucket over our head, like several times before we go, oh, that's what that was. We all do it in some area of our life. All right, Linda wants a general reading. Please like and subscribe. I'll keep reminding you. Okay. All right, Linda, general reading. So what they're saying to me is like it's like you say when you're manifesting you want like the abundance and the success and all of those things to come in. I just got really dizzy. Have you been drinking enough water lately? Sorry, because that's like where I when that comes in that way. But you say you want all of these things. I really feel like you need to drink more water. I just like, I kept getting that, and I also got eh, like I got one other thing. So without like divulging information, which I'll email you quick about anyway. It's like nothing scary, but it's just like a reinforcement of like being on a plane and like, you need to drink more water when you're on a plane. It's like, really, you need to drink more water. Um, so it's like you go there and you write it down and you're like, ah, yeah, I could do that. And then it's like, but you're still trying to like control every aspect of it and how it has to be instead of like letting go and going, okay, I have all of these skills. I have all of this opportunity. So like just bring it and I'll instantly intuitively know what the direction I'm supposed to go. I'll instantly intuitively know what's supposed to come to me. Like it'll either keep reminding me and popping up or like it's just going to fall into place perfectly and I don't need to like cuz I feel like what you're doing is like going, "Oh, yeah, but no, not that." Like, there's a limit there. "Oh, that couldn't work that way because nobody's doing that." It's like, you're getting inspired to do the things you're doing because you're the perfect person to do them. Maybe nobody's ever done that because they weren't the perfect person to do it, and you're the perfect person to do it, so you need to do that. I had to get that out of my head for a long time too, where I was like, "Oh, all a million other people are doing this." But maybe my voice needs to be out there too. I keep getting inspired and pulled to do it. Um, dollars for just a question, so general reading would be considered that, and then 30% I don't New Jersey. I know you're not doing this weekend, but I'm just saying I just feel like it feels like you need to drink more water in general. Um, and they're also saying let go of the past. So this idea that I failed in the past, I didn't do enough, I wasn't enough, I didn't live up to my own expectations is silly and you need to let that go because it was a learning process and you needed to go through that in order to be where you're at now. Like I don't ever look at nursing and think like, oh, why did I waste 10 years doing nursing? I think, oh my God, I gained these valuable skills. And it's not about like um, the medical knowledge, although it's been very helpful in medical intuition. I learned to stand up against all the naysayers. I switched to a school that was not a 4-year degree. Ended up switching from a 4-year school to an associate's degree. And I listened to everybody say I wasn't getting a real degree and everybody telling me that was the worst thing and I wasn't getting a good education. I got a fantastic education. And I know I got a fantastic education because then I went on as a nurse to train nursing students in really great nursing schools where I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? Why are you like a little nervous about the prospect of them being an actual bedside nurse. So I know I got a really great education. So it's like sort of like persist, and quit letting anybody outside of you or letting your own self talk you out of it. And quit devaluing those experiences because it doesn't quite fit exactly into maybe what you appear that it really is going to help you. So going through those experiences as a nurse wasn't necessarily about the most obvious thing that I gained. Okay. Um, I have to say sometimes it's not the inner critic that's the harsh. It's sometimes the philosophy. Just know that you didn't waste any time and those lessons were important for what you're doing now, even if it's not that obvious right now. Okay. I'm gonna leave you with that. Shar, you're up. I'll check the payments and then we'll probably close up the list for the day. So if you haven't made your payment, come back next week. All right, I got EF on here. Um, okay, Shar, how will boyfriend react if I tell him that I reconciled with my 2 best friends from years ago? Conversation with him. Can you give me your boyfriend's name, please? Just the first name. I don't need a last name, birth date. I don't need any of that stuff. I don't need his sign. I could care less. Just a first name would be helpful. I can tell you what my immediate feeling is. I'm not in love with your boyfriend, but that's probably a good thing because why would I want to be in love with him? Gia's payment, I didn't, but you know what? I will keep an eye out and leave room for Gia to be on here if, okay, because sometimes that does happen where it just takes a minute to come through. So you will not be left off. Okay, Gia? Isaiah. Okay, thank you. I just need to put a little lip stuff on. My lips are a little dry. Thanks. Do you get headaches or does Isaiah get headaches? I think this might be him. It feels like headaches, and I also feel like anxiety, and I feel sort of like this really type A kind of controlling personality. I would love to say that like he's so great about it. He's going to be welcoming, but even when I read the question without his name, I felt like that's not the case at all. I actually feel like there's going to be a fight about it. Okay. You haven't been really controlling lately. I wish I could say he'd be like, "Oh, that's so great, babe. I'm so happy for you," but I don't feel like he's gonna be like that way. Like, I feel like he's very, like, black and white. This is that. So, like, they weren't nice to you, and I can't believe, like, why would you let him in? What? Okay, first of all, why? Like, I want you to think long and hard about your relationship. Why would you be scared of the person you're with if you're like, I'm friends with this person again? I don't get the sense that you're in physical danger. So like, but like for legal reasons, I'll say like, if you're in physical danger, contact someone, the local authorities, all that. But I don't feel that that's the case. I feel like it's an emotional story you're telling yourself. So you can always manifest differently. But my sense is that the energy that it's in right now is not going to go well. I feel like it's going to be an explosive fight. That's what I felt, like a big argument. I feel like he yells. I feel like he's very dramatic and demonstrative with his, like, like all of that. And I there's so much to unpack here, Shar. So much to unpack. I just feel like how can I be nice? You could do better. But here's the thing, remember that he is reflecting your inner stuff. So you want it to go better, let's manifest that stuff better, right? So I am safe, I'm stable, I'm secure, I make good decisions. Scott, I'm not taking any new questions right now, but if you want to come back next week, make sure you subscribe and come back and hit the like button. I'm full of great stuff on Sundays. People say they like to listen just because my voice is so soothing. You could listen to me on 3 days a week. I'm talking about stuff just to hear my voice or maybe learn a few things. Anyway, I just feel like working on your self-concept will then be like, even if he blows up, you're just like, whatever. Like I feel confident in the choices that I made, and I'm glad that I reconciled, and I'm glad I healed this thing, and move in that direction. Okay. It just feels like working on your self-concept, because I could say like break up with him, blah, 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 but you're just gonna like bring in somebody that's repeat of him, that's a carbon copy or a photocopy or digital duplicate, if you will. Okay. Your second question is, my mom has been dealing with grief and she doesn't want to be open up to me because we haven't been terms. What can spirit tell me about this? Could you give me your mom's first name? I have 999 subscribers. Let's get more. Tell your friends. Subscribers. I would like to say thank you to all of my fans. I kid. Y'all all know this has taken a long time. Thank you. Oh. Okay, so let's get back to your readings. Enough about me. I'd like to thank my gods, the YouTube gods, for bringing you into me. Okay. Thank you. Okay, seriously though, your mom's first name. Oh, Fatima. Okay. Okay, so there's several things going on here. I don't think it's just about like loss, and thank you again. I see all those like, oh my God. I don't think it's just about loss, like of a person when I'm looking at grief and dealing with a lot. I feel like it's reconciling with her life and sort of she's had that, like, as they say, come into Jesus moment. Come to Jesus. There's also this weird planetary thing that's been going on. I don't know what it is, but I know a lot of women that I've spoken to have talked about it. Like recently, where it's like a lot of stuff is coming up. So I don't know if there's been this gigantic vortex shift or something where the mirror is now reflected and we have to like really look at ourselves. Rakton, hi. Just stay and listen and be a part of this. So it just feels like she's done a lot of soul searching. And so it's really more about healing from or dealing with not being proud about her life, even though I think my sense is she's being way harder on herself than necessary. So I'm asking them, what can you do? And it just feels like energetically give grace and understand that she's not perfect and never will be. And she has a story too. And she has her own trauma too. And even if she did all these things and they were passed down to you, these behaviors of like having like self-worth issues and things like that, it just feels like, remember, that was passed down to her as well. So as much as when I look at like, when we look at our parents and we go, oh, they weren't all of these things, as much as they're reflecting to us, our inside, we're reflecting to them their inner worth too. So it's not just me and the world is like, and I'm just like looking at it from a very selfish standpoint. It's like, recognize that there's a lot of back and forth that we all, when we talk about like, we're all part of everybody else's miracles too. We all play those roles. And as much as you think like, I'm not going to be somebody else's puppet, well, the universe is using you and placing you in people's lives too, to be as much a part of their learning process and their miracle as well. I don't feel like it's necessarily about trying as it is about just shift your beliefs, right? And just open up the energy, maybe just place it out there. Like, my mom finally, just leave this as a manifestation, right? My mom finally chatted with me or talked to me and opened up, and she knew she had a safe place. Something I'm learning to do, because I'm codependent, so I'm learning to listen rather than like here, my job is to offer my insight, is to offer the knowledge and the wisdom that they're sharing with me to you. That's my job. But when it comes to my friends, I'm learning to not try to problem solve in my family and things like that. The minimal family that I have. I'm trying to learn to just sit and then say, do you mind if I offer? And recognizing that I don't do that enough. And so I'm trying to do that. So maybe it's not necessarily about absolutely good. I always giggle at some of the names people come up with. I'm like, um, it just feels like just be a listener and don't. And I feel like she has a lot of her own guilt and shame, and so and I actually feel like there's a lot of guilt and shame around your relationship with her and feeling like she didn't do enough. And so it's sort of like just let it be because you can't go back and change the past. You can look at it differently with a different perspective. And I sense that my feeling is that that's actually what changes when you rewrite the story, you change the perspective, and therefore it like releases some of that bogged up energy that sometimes we carry with the past. And it doesn't mean that you go, oh, it's okay that you weren't this great or anything else, but it just means that like you go, okay, she had this, she did the best she could, and now I'm going to move forward with my life, not separately, just moving forward and doing the rewriting in my life and stuff. Well, she knows she raised a good daughter. It's not that you're bad. It's just more like feeling like she didn't necessarily do right by you, if that makes sense. And dealing with her own stuff. And maybe just leave it out there. It's like, I love you. I'm here if you ever want to talk. And I'll just listen. And then when she talks, instead of like, because sometimes we get that knee jerk response, we want to say something, just say, may I offer some insight and ask permission. And if she says no, then just say, okay, and leave it. Okay. All right. All right. So Laura and Tammy, you wanted to know, I know your question, so I'll ask it. I'll answer that. Tammy, are you crying? I don't know why. I just felt like you were crying. Okay, so Laura and Tammy, you guys are up. I'm going to look and see if Gia's came through at all. And if not, I don't know what to do. Well, Gia, we're going to be on here more, so. I recently started a certificate in teaching for English for adults. Will I be able to pass it? Yes. What's with the number 3? So is it in 3 months that you'll finish it, or 3 weeks? There's something around a number 3 that you would, or is it a 3-hour test? I don't feel like it's 3rd time's the charm, so I don't think you'll take it 3 times. It lasts 3 months. Okay, yeah, because I was like, I don't think it's 3rd time's the charm. That would be terrible, but you'd still pass, right? So, yeah, I'm like, I asked them and they're like, yeah, flying colors, it's easy. Again, it's like with Allie, don't psych yourself out. Okay. It feels like they're like saying like she already knows this stuff. This is not anything that's like, I feel like you already know how to do all this. It's really just more about approaching it differently because it's adults versus having taught children. Okay. All right, Tammy, your question about God. What does God think of you? I feel like you need to have another question prepared because I don't feel like you should be paying me for this because I feel like this is like, you're going to be like, oh, duh, obvious. So when I do angel readings, and I end up channeling angels versus, I mean, even your guides are kind of like less judgy than our family members come through and they're still very human. They can be judgy assholes, but they're usually not. But I mean, I'm just saying like, if you're, your grandparent or your mom or your whatever sibling or best friend or whatever family member might come through and be like, the person you're with is a gigantic jackass and you are not doing what you need to be doing in life. Like they're going to come through with like those really opinionated, subjectively, like whatever, because, you know, your angels, when they come through, like your guides are more loving, but they're like, yeah, like they still have personality. Like that's like kind of punchy and stuff like that, but not the way your family members would. Angels, when they come through, and I feel like they're the closest thing to God, the divine being, and divine being is like, it's pure love. Like there is no judgment. There is no like you're screwing it up. All of that judgment comes from your lower self, your part that's disconnected from God. So when you worry if God's going to think you're good enough, you need to stop and understand that if you believe that God is this, most religions teach, the Alpha, the Omega, you know, the beginning, the end, the highest, almightiest, pure love thing, there is no way and no room for anything less than loving you wholly and completely just as you are. Now, maybe this is more of a, like a Sunday church gathering. So gather around with Reverend Annalisa. I am a reverend, to any of you that know. And so I believe that I am part of us is the spark of God. It is the thing that is like if you were to take, if God was this cup of water, not to diminish God or to minimize God. If God was this cup of water, right? Or the water inside this cup, this is just, holding it. And I were to take a water dropper and be like, and put little drops of water all over. Well, they're not the whole thing, but they are parts of God. And I feel like that's what our soul is, right? So we're all interconnected. We're all from the same thing. What do you mean someone from India can contact me? Hang on. There's a phone number in your official website. Yeah, it works. You can text me. You can call. I usually have you guys leave messages first and then I'll call you back. But texting is quicker, but be respectful of times and stuff and all that. But you don't have to be. Just that, yeah, there's a working number there. It's not fake. Your brother tried to call me. I don't know what to tell you. Did he dial it right? Anyway, so let me get back to this other message. So that lower part of you is your ego, your subconscious that works on, just wrote, like, this is what I was taught from everybody else and the collective beliefs that are not the God spark, right? So if you don't do this, you're going to go to hell. If you don't do that, you're not really following Jesus. If you don't do this, you're a bad person. If you don't hold your head just right, if you don't just do everything perfectly, if you aren't a perfect being, then you are less than anything and you're not worthy and all of that. And the truth is, if you say I am, whatever follows must be. And if the I am part of you is the God spark of you, that part of your soul, and you do anything less than what's wonderful and perfect, then you are doing God an injustice. So if you speak less than that, you're why don't you email me? Because after these, I'm usually family time. So I probably wouldn't answer anyway. So if you just email me, that would be fantastic. And we can set something up. Okay. But that is my number and it's on my website. But I kind of like after this thing, I shut down and do family time. So so Allie said, I grew up in the Jehovah Witness religion and they always made me feel guilty. I think it traumatized me. So this is comforting. I think a lot of religions can be traumatizing and make you feel guilty. Mainly I'm struggling with work, not happy, and wonder if he's disappointed with me. No, and some more no. Kidding. Because we don't have to be a patriarchal God, right? Because God really isn't any sex. Or isn't a gender. God is just God. No. And it's funny because work came to me. I was like, oh, work teaches you to be codependent and try and like, if you don't love what you do, it's okay. If you're struggling because it's hard, it's okay. Nursing is a really, really, really hard job. And it's really hard to love it all the time. Even if you're doing good work and all of that stuff. It's really hard, and it's really hard to love it all the time. And I will tell you, when I left that particular job, that particular hospital, I loved it. Best hospital I've ever worked for, but it wasn't until I walked out of that unit and went to do something that was like less intense that I realized how incredibly emotionally, physically, and mentally draining that particular position was. And I loved it. It was my favorite place to work, but it was a drain. So give yourself room and grace to understand that. And but disappointment, never. Never. That's just not the way God works. That's your ego feeling like you're not doing enough. Okay? That is just, that is all lower self stuff. That is not your God spark, and that is not God speaking to you when you feel guilty. You're enough and perfect just as you are. You are whole and complete just as you are. Oh, I gathered that, Rakdan. I'm checking. Oh, Raja, I have you. Yes. And I have you on the list. It should have been you just wished Raja and then EF. So yeah, I got you. I got you a long time ago. I just was looking for Gia. Okay. So listen, the core of any religion is love, pure love. And if God is like the most amazing and capable of anything, not minimize God and say that we have a petty God that's going to be like, why aren't you just totally digging your job all the time and loving it? I don't know that that's a psychic thing that I'm telling you, more so than just what I've learned through my own journey and going through a lot of, lower self-talk that was instilled in me in many different ways, not just family, religion, society. And just find the little things in the day to day that help you get through all of that stuff, and recognize then when things are coming up that aren't working out or doing well or that are triggering you, maybe go within, and instead of going, oh, this always happens, it keeps happening the same way, go, what am I believing within me that might reflect this outside of me? So remember that when things show up on the outside, it's not that it's like if you are confronted with somebody who's kind of mean and nasty, it doesn't mean like, oh, they're reflecting who you are. It's not who you are. It's the beliefs about yourself. So if they're being mean and nasty, they're being disrespectful, not courteous, whatever, then it's not that you're a disrespectful, not courteous person. It's that you don't feel respected, like you're not respectful of yourself. You don't feel that you deserve that. You don't feel valuable and worthy. Okay? I'm going to leave you with that. I'm sending you a big hug. Don't be so hard on yourself. You're wonderful and fantastic. I know, because I got to work alongside you. And you were one of my mentors. You're a badass. You were the person I wanted to be like when I walked in there. You know what I mean? Like you and Claire. Like I wanted to be that 20-year vet when I was starting out there. So I wanted to have all that knowledge and that wisdom and that grace, and that, I mean, give yourself credit. I am not too kind. I'm being honest. Just soak it in, absorb it, love it. And I'm sorry I didn't get to see you when I was down there. you would have just heard me complain anyway. All right, Miss Tatiana, you are up. I know. Stupid COVID. It's going to get better, y'all. It's going to get better. I do know that. It's going to get better. Listen, when they started imposing seatbelt laws, people were up in arms about those too. It'll settle itself out, okay? Okay, Tatiana, Rosie, you guys have questions? KK, you have a question. I've got 6 people left here. Let's get through them. What messages do my guides have for me? Oh, you wrote it already. Okay, now I have to hang on. Hang on. Sometimes if you write it too soon, then I'm like, I gotta figure out. Do you remember what comment it was after, or roughly around what time? Please say it wasn't at the beginning, because if it's at the beginning, I'd rather sometimes. Oh, there you are. Yeah. Oh, my question. Oh, KK, I love you. Okay. My question is, what steps should I take to really get into my spiritual gifts and journey and to gain peace? I feel so lost most of the time. See, good group here. Oh, okay. Oh, thank you, Linda. Oh, yeah, it was way up there, so I wouldn't, but thank you. Sometimes if it's too early and then there's some back and forth, it's hard for me to find, and I'm scrolling forever. All right. So they literally said to me, let go of the expectations of the way you think that it's supposed to be when it comes to opening up to your intuition. They're saying it's like you're watching other people and how they work, but you're trying to emulate them rather than allowing your own path and your own progress. So I've seen the psychic mediums I've seen in person are Lisa Williams, and I've seen John Edward, and I've seen, what's her name? They call her this smiling medium. I can't remember her first name. I like to watch and see how they work. I'll even watch the Long Island Medium or Hollywood Medium, whatever. Especially I like watching them more when I wasn't as comfortable in my own stuff, and watching really anybody do readings. And it's interesting to me because everybody kind of has their own style. Everybody's unique, and it feels like just because somebody experiences it one way, or Hollywood will portray things a certain way. Clairaudience isn't really all outside of your head. Most of the time it's, in here. And it's not just all the time random talking to you. You have more control over it than people are allowing. The other thing is it's a lot of the subtle stuff. It's not going to be the door opens up and it's okay, I just need the answer to this. And then the door opens up and this spirit steps through. And it's oh. It's literally all the subtle stuff, and it's all the repetitive stuff, and it's quick. It's not going to just linger. So the stuff when you're oh my God, but what if I find out now that everybody's going to die, or that all these diseases are coming up? They're not going to give you stuff you can't handle. And that's the truth. They don't want to scare you. They don't want you to run away from this, because this is your connection to them. They want to help you. They're not going to screw it up for you. Initially, it's always like 20 questions when you're building your language. Just because somebody says something is one way does not mean it's the truth. So when you're looking at, like, you're online on Instagram and you see all these spiritual messages, because you're going to find that filter if you're looking at spiritual stuff. That's the filter that's going to be sent to you. It's, it's sort of the idea of manifestation, like what you put out there, and beliefs will come to you, and like what you focus your energy on starts to come out to you. That's like the physical manifestation of explaining that right there. Like the numbers thing drives me nuts, because it's like, if you look at enough of those posts and enough of those repeating numbers comes to you, 444 can mean anything. And like 444 will end up meaning, if you read enough of them, the same thing as all the other repeating numbers. I did notice that, and I was like, ugh. So it's whatever you decide, place the meaning on, is what the meaning is. If somebody says something and it doesn't resonate with you, or it makes you feel afraid, that's not coming from a higher place. That's coming from their limited belief systems. And so, like, when people are like, and I've seen famous mediums say this and psychics say this, and that's fine, it's coming from their belief system. You have to protect your energy. Well, or you could just do what I do and just say, well, my energy is protected. I'm safe. My guides take care of me. I'm not worried about it. Here's a big reason why: because spirits are way more respectful of boundaries. So if you're like, I don't like things moving around. I am not into the physical manifestation of energy. Like, so doors closing, papers floating about, whatever. It is not my favorite thing. They can reach me a million different ways. So that's my boundary. You want to come through clairsentience, clairaudience, clairvoyance, claircognizance, aliens, gustance, the smells and the tastes. Great. Don't close my doors. Don't move things around. I don't like that stuff. They're just kind of like talking about, just relax, just breathe more. Stop feeling like you have to have all of the answers right away. Stop feeling like you're a lost soul, because you're not. You're a perfectly placed soul having a human experience, and it can be rough and bumpy. So give yourself grace for that. You don't have to have all of the answers, and it really is like this journey that you're on. And it isn't like, I believe some of the stuff that I believed 20 years ago, and some of it I'm like, God, why did I waste my time worrying about that? like why did I bother being afraid of like dark evil energy, when I'm like, energy is energy is energy, and like the darker stuff is usually something sort of folding in on itself and like needs to be sent love, because love is more powerful than the negative stuff, and that's going to feed their energy better, and like it's going to heal them, and it's going to help them move on. Watch me. That might help give you some guidance. If you want to learn to open up your psychic stuff, you can always join one of my psychic development circles. Everybody learns how to connect in. Everybody learns how to give a message. And it's not because you're going to want to learn how to give a message. It's because it's showing you how to understand what your intuition is, and to trust it. It's like your greatest gift. It's your inner GPS, and it helps you get through. So like, why not refine it and make it, like hone in better? Okay. On my website, I don't have an open circle right now. Right now it's a closed circle. I usually do 6 week session, like 6 weeks. It's once a week for 6 weeks. So I don't have a circle will open up. Like, I think this next one finishes on October 12th. So I'll open one up after that. But my website is myspiritualfriend.com, and you can hit /psychic development circles, or you can just go to the main page, and there's all different things that I offer. I'll leave you with that. Okay, Rosie. Oh, wait, KK, your question is a general reading. And that was for Tatiana. And then Rosie, you're up too. Rosie, KK, and you just wish. KK, I'm doing yours now. General reading. What do your guides want you to know? So I feel tight in my solar plexus chakra. And it feels like, because I asked it a little differently. I thought, what's holding you back? What's blocking you? And the energy feels more here, which is, solar plexus is how you relate to the world, how the world relates to you, and your self-esteem. And I don't feel like it's like a self-esteem issue. I think it's sort of more about figuring out how I want to fit in the world, like how I want to recreate myself or create myself to be perceived or whatever in the world. Not so much about worrying about what other people think of me and blah, blah, blah. It's like, all right, now how do I want to step forth into the world? Does that resonate before I keep going? Or maybe I'll keep going and then wait for your answer. So it's sort of like talking about they said you'll be accepted by anyone as long as you accept yourself. Like the minute you decide, I totally love who I am, I love the direction I'm going, I love, I'm proud of myself. All of the rest of that, like those people that were the holdouts for you, for like judging where you're at, or that it was in your mind, all of that falls away. They just said in 3 weeks, life changes for you. And I don't know what that means. And I don't feel like it's like, but it's like having this aha and this like shift to where like all of a sudden it just starts to like open up and the door flies open and it's like, oh, it's easy. This is easy. I got this. But it's like you're driving and you're trying to push the gas and the brake at the same time. Like, why isn't my car moving? Why isn't it this functioning effectively? And finally, like something happens and you're like, oh, I can relax and take my foot off the brake and just go. That just because you have just your foot on the gas doesn't mean you have your foot all the way to the ground and you're flying through it. It means you have your foot on the gas and you're maintaining speed. Instead of like trying to, go with 2 feet, you've integrated your spiritual self and your secular self into one experience. Rosie, you'll learn about me. I don't really care about people's signs. Okay. But there's something significant about 3 weeks, so I'll be excited to find out what that is. So Rosie, what I'm getting is I actually feel like it's going to be a woman that ends up being your mentor. So if you go with Steve, it might be that you don't work directly with Steve, you work with somebody that Steve has trained, but I feel like a woman ends up being your mentor. And it feels like whatever your online business is, it feels like really empowering yourself, like really. So I don't know, what, like my tagline's empowering your journey, but I just feel like whatever it is, I feel like I'm standing on my own power now and really owning who I am. And it feels like, I don't know, it just feels like a woman that helps you, not a man. What's my sign? I am Cancer Sun, Pisces Moon, and Aries Rising. That's the Aries Rising is the person you get to like, but I'm like a lot of water and a little fire. My chart actually has like whatever it's written. Anybody who reads charts, because I don't read charts, is like, holy shit, no wonder you do what you do. There's a lot of psychic stuff in my chart, like however the houses are and all of that. Like I don't know what any of it is, but lots of psychic stuff. So spiritually, all of that. All right, Rosie. Okay, you just wish Raja and EF. You guys are up. And I'm like 29th degree Cancer. I just slid in there. What's funny is when I was little, to do your things, I remember like going into different, because I went to all different churches, and like it was always the churches that were like the non-denominational, like giganto or whatever churches. But I remember like the pastor would be up there, and like, it's like the new ones where they have like the rock bands, and I'd be like, I could totally do what that guy's doing. Like that's so easy. But then I would like, get to know some of the people and like the hypocrisy and stuff. And I was like, fuck this. They're missing God. Okay. Sorry. Having trouble reconciling a pretty traumatic spiritual experience in 2020. Okay. Around the same time, I began mediumship completely by surprise and have since taken a break from it. Okay. So you just wish, what's the question? Do you want to share the experience? Do you feel comfortable doing that? The table is open to do that. You let me know. And I'll answer one of the other questions and you can. Yeah, Cancer and Pisces are really, like the water signs are really psychic signs. Cancer and Pisces are really psychic. So I've got that like going on for me. And then I got my Aries that comes through that kind of like helps me like put myself out there. I know that your rising sign is like how the world sees you. So a little fiery, telling it like it is. Okay, what do my guides have to say in terms of the experience in particular? Because it made no sense whatsoever. And how do I reconcile my life knowing I have this gift and honoring it, but not acting out of fear and doubt? Okay. Well, you have the gift. That's how you reconcile it. You just go, well, I have this. The truth is, like, people like to separate mediumship from psychic abilities, and there is no difference. You're either going to connect in with like where the psychic stuff is you're just connecting into energy. So if you remove that pressure of feeling like one is more valuable or difficult or scary than the other, that helps. Like some people like to do like, I'm a pet psychic. No, like you're reading energy. Like it's all the same. You're reading energy. You're connecting in with energy, whether it's that. Okay. So, what do you want to do with it? That's what I always tell people. Like when they come to me and they're like, I had this, I'm like, what do you want to do with it? No, even just because you have the experience doesn't mean you have to use it. Doesn't mean you have to stay open to it. Doesn't mean you have to do anything. There is no, God's not going to be like, you didn't use your psychic side. All this is like, you have set up in your timeline for this experience to happen. Now you get to choose, what do you want to do with it? Life is like a book of choose your own adventures. You don't have to do anything. Okay, I'm just rereading this because I want to make sure. And this is coming from my psychic stuff, but it's not necessarily like, I think it's just coming from experience, not, but still. Okay. So they said the reason why it came through the way it did is because they wanted you to like knock you off your feet. So it wasn't that you weren't getting stuff. It's like you're seeing it as like, oh my God, this big event happened and I'm not, like that was the catalyst. That was the one thing. I'd never had that before. And they're like, no. Like, we had been nudging you for a long time and you weren't listening. And so we made ourselves known. So my example of this is when I was in college, I had a roommate who was in nursing school. I originally started as a nursing student, and then I was like, F this, I don't want to do all this studying and work and blah, blah, blah. I want to have fun. So I changed to healthcare administration, which, believe it or not, was an easier major. But still in the healthcare field, like that was what I was thinking. And so I would watch my roommate. They would study, they would go like do their, listening to lung sounds and all of that stuff. And I was a guinea pig for her and all of that. And like, that's not normal, right? To like keep having that little tug, but I was ignoring it because I was like, oh, I don't want to have to go back and go to change schools, or I don't want to have to be in school for even longer and all that, because it was like a financial drain. I was, I didn't have a trust fund. I didn't have a scholarship, and I didn't have any loans. So I was working a lot. My father did help out, but it was not substantial. So I ended up going and getting my associate's degree because I heard a voice outside of my head that said, you will go to this school and get your degree, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess I'll be doing that now. And I literally like finished a summer's class, and this was like in July, and then went to apply and was accepted, and they started classes in August. And apparently there's a wait list I didn't know about. So it's just feeling like it happened really big because you weren't listening to the subtle stuff. So here's the thing. The other thing is like, you get these ideas like, oh my God, this happened. I'm supposed to go and be a professional and do this and like tell everybody about these messages coming through. And that's like not the way it works either. It's like with any other job, you start, or any other, like when you learn a language or when a baby learns to walk, like you don't just start walking, like, right? They start with like learning to push themselves up. That strengthens their neck muscle, that strengthens their back muscles, their arms, their core, right? And their little butts and all of that, like all of their muscles get strengthened in doing that. Like if you ever do a cobra, think about all of the muscles that are used. That's a baby pushing up and holding up. It's a slow progressive thing. It's not an overnight thing. So relax on that. Set the rules, set the limits with them. They're cool with that. Like, I'm trying to go to sleep. Can you reach me in my dreams or talk to me another time? I am still, even though I'm the soul that can do this, I'm still a human having a human experience, and my body needs rest. That's okay for you to do that. We often have these human ideas that things have to happen in a specific time frame, or we find out that we're destined to be something bigger, and they're like, when's it going to happen? They're like, ease off the gas pedal. It's okay. You don't have to go 85. The speed limit's 35. No one said you had to go 85. That's okay. Maybe there's other lessons they want you to learn. Like, you got the evidential stuff, great, you got that skill. Now there's other stuff you need to learn. Remember, you're a filter, right? So you're giving the message. Maybe it's not about you giving. You may feel like it's not this really big message. And I tell this to my psychic development circles. It's not about being a really big message. What you feel like is like, oh, I only see, this little bird. And the person may be like, oh my God, like you're like, oh, your grandma's here, blah, blah, blah. And she's just showing me a bird. And I don't know what that means. It's like a hummingbird, blah, blah. Oh my God, my grandma told me when she would come back, she was going to come back and let me know that she was the hummingbird. And like, that is the most profound thing. And you're like, oh, I told her, like, I see a bird and that's it. Like, and you're like, I'm going backwards. You're not moving backwards. Okay. So instead of judging the process, just honor it. Don't judge it. Don't come at it with like, it's not good enough. Like, holy shit, do you know how many people would love to be able to give evidential readings? So I think there's a theme coming through here tonight. I don't know if anybody's noticed that, the theme of like, give yourself room for growth. Stop judging it. Stop judging the process. Stop judging the journey, that it's not enough or it's whatever, and just like love it, enjoy it. You could also look at my psychic development circles if you wanted to. It's super safe space. It's same people that show up every, for 6 weeks. It might be a good little getting your toe wet kind of thing. The offer's there. There's other ways you can do it too. I don't feel like you have anything to be afraid of. I keep seeing like, it's funny, like the traumatic part feels like seeing somebody close to me, like right after they died, and like not knowing, like not having gotten the news yet. And that's what feels traumatic to me. And maybe going, I don't know if I want it this way. But I'll tell you what, like through the years I've had like, oh, I never wanted that way. Don't happen. And then it's like, they ease me into it. I'm like, okay, like, I don't want to know information. I used to have a major rule about like, if I'm not supposed to say it, if I'm not supposed to know it, and if I'm not supposed to tell the person, don't tell me the information because I don't want to know it. I had that rule for a really long time. And then they were sort of like, and they just like left it there. And I was like, oh, I guess I can hold information. It's not going to tear me apart and, ruin me, or I'm not going to like feel this need to blurt it out. There was a instance where I was sitting in, it's hard to explain, but I was sitting in my little cubicle in this clinic, and the other nurse that like shared the like office, but we each had our own it's like weird, whatever. Anyway, one of her friends came in, and I couldn't see him because my back was to the door was closed, but I could hear him. And he walked in, and I immediately heard from, I don't know if it was my guides or his guides, like lung cancer. And I didn't know if that meant, and that's it, those two words, lung cancer. And I didn't know if it meant he had lung cancer, he currently had lung cancer, or what was going on. And so I just wasn't my message to deliver. Just because you get something doesn't mean you have to give it. I can be out in public in like big stadium events, and like this spirit will be standing there, and someone's standing across the other, and they're like talking about daughter and like da-da-da, and I'm always like, if this is going to happen, you have to find a way to make that happen, because I am not about to walk up to that stranger and like message bomb them. So you set the rules, just know that. And I understand how it could be traumatic, but it doesn't have to be. And if you want to use it, then use it. And if you don't, it's okay too. Like, give yourself that room. Like, it's okay to do readings. It's okay not to do readings. It's okay to use my psychic abilities. It's okay not to use them. It's okay to love. It's okay not to love. Like all of it. It's like, it's all okay. All right, Raja and EF, you're up. That was a long answer. And I think it's more just to give you confidence to like know that all of it's okay, and that one's like thinking, what a waste. Like, that's your human stuff. Your guides are like, look, you put this thing into play, and like that, it like would come up, and it's sort of your choice. Do you want to use it or not? I had the choice to want to be able to use this stuff or not. Space vibes. I'm doing good. I don't know if I'm your sister. I have sisters. What's coming up for me next month? Is that to your satisfaction? Is that answer okay for you? You just wish? Okay. I hope it's helpful. Okay, Gia, and then EF, you're up. Oh, EC, you're EF. Okay, got it. I always do that. I think I do that a lot. I'm sorry. I will try and remember. You're very welcome. Okay, so I'll do Gia first, and then EC. What's coming up for me next month? All right, Gia, what's coming up in October for you? So this is definitely metaphorical. They go, you'll be going on a long journey, and I don't like it's weird, but it feels like so they're showing. I said all you have to do is step out your front door, but I feel like it's like the way they're showing is like almost like taking a ocean liner across, it's take like a month or two. Um, but I don't think you're actually doing that unless are you going on a cruise? The outside chance, that's not the feeling I get. But it feels like you have to step outside of your comfort zone a little bit in order to do this. Okay, that's why I was like, I think this is metaphorical. That's why I said that. It's like you have to step outside of your comfort zone. You have to step outside of your front door. It's like outside of your comfort zone. Have you signed up for a class or a course or something that starts the third week of October? And they're just talking about stepping outside of your comfort zone, stepping outside of your comfort zone. It starts then. There's something about the third week of October, and you're going to come back to me and go, oh, Anna, this made sense. Um, and stepping outside of your comfort zone. So it's not like something really, it's like the taking the first steps and the movement to your own growth. And your own healing. They said you're holding on to a lot of they said anger and resentment, but I feel like it's more resentment than anger. I don't like, and this feels like more with like old relationships and love. Stepping outside of your comfort zone actually feels more about like doing something I wouldn't necessarily do, and it's more about building my own self-confidence than it is about like, oh, I'm like so deciding to take maybe a course in how to be like a stand-up comic. And not that I want to be a stand-up comic, but it's going to build my confidence in my stage presence and my ability to give speeches and talk in front of people, or my ability to just like be comfortable not being a wallflower and putting myself out in front of people, even just conversationally in groups of people. I'm not really that comfortable in it. So I'm going to go do something that's out of my comfort zone so that I get more comfortable socially. And they're talking about like in the self reflection, like in relationships, it's like all of that happened for a reason. I've been doing a lot of reflecting, but not so much like, oh, I wish I would have made more changes. It's like, oh, wow, those are the thoughts and the beliefs that created those experiences. Okay. So it feels like that happens. I'm going to say like the third week of October where I decide to get out of my comfort zone and do something. So maybe there's something on like Groupon.com where you're like, oh, I could take that course, or like we get sent local magazines for like adult continued education, which is just, like fun little classes and things you can take to learn and step outside of your comfort zone. And I feel like that leads you in a direction you would have never expected. And it brings people into your circle that you would have never met otherwise. And they become lifelong friends. So even when you sign up for this, you're like not thinking like, oh, this is because they just said growth happens in the most unexpected ways for you. And it feels like it's not that even when you sign up for this, you're gonna be like, oh, whatever. Like I just want to go do this for this reason, but like a different direction or a different root system grows out of that that gives you a more sense of confidence and stability in a way that you hadn't expected. They said you'll be sharing in this process. So I actually feel like whatever you're going to be learning from this like that starts. It's not like it happens all this month. It starts here, but it feels like it's a long journey. So it's something that kind of happens over time. You're eventually going to be helping others go through the same thing. So maybe you create your own masterclass, how to like, you know, become more confident, or maybe you end up doing some sort of therapy or counseling for others. I don't know exactly what that means, but it feels like whatever you get here, you end up helping others with that. They're telling me it feels like there's a real sense of wanting to help others grow. And I think, wait, you're a nurse, right? This feels outside of nursing though. I don't feel like you're going to always be in that field. Like I get the sense that you're going to do something more entrepreneurial on your own. You're not in nursing? Oh, this is Gia. No, this is you're not? Oh, I was thinking, sorry. Wrong thing. This is for you, but I was like, sorry. Whatever this is, it just feels like you're going to be doing something more entrepreneurial at a point. So maybe I work for somebody now, but I'm like but I'm going to be doing something more entrepreneurial. I don't know why they showed me you working at like, I think I was just for a minute thinking, you've been thinking about a makeup class. So maybe whatever you learn in this, you teach others. Oh my God. So maybe you end up developing like either a course that you teach others, or you have an online thing that kind of explodes and does well, but this isn't like, this is what's going to help you. Oh, okay. You worked at a hospital. Did you work in like, were you a secretary, or did you work like behind a desk? I know that sounds weird, but that's what I saw. Like I kept seeing like behind a desk in like a medical field. That's why I was like thinking maybe you're a nurse administrator or something. Yes, front desk admin. Okay. Thank you. Then that makes sense. So it just feels like taking whatever you learn from this and moving on. You just quit for a new job. Congratulations. Enjoy your new whatever you learn from this course and doing being what you do. Okay. I'm going to leave you with that, but that's where your journey begins this October. Last but not least, thank you everybody for staying here for so long. You're very welcome, Gia. EC, did you already ask your question and I didn't? Is it up there? There you are. Why am I having so much trouble sleeping lately? Ah, gotcha. Okay. So I'm getting several different things. The first thing I felt was like a heartburny kind of feeling. So there's some kind of digestive thing. I know it sounds silly, but like if you normally eat dinner at 8, eat dinner at 7:30. It's like just make a slight adjustment earlier to stop eating, or to like be like, whatever. And it feels like that helps. I also feel like there's a slight hormonal shifts going on. And they're also telling me like stressing, anxiety, and like the self-concept stuff. So this is going to sound nutty, but not the minute, but when I started doing the self-concept stuff and like really putting it into play, and like during the day, like when things come up, if I feel a little like, oh, is this really happening? Like, and just doing the I ams with like, positive self-talk, like I'm valuable. Of course, this is going to work for me because I'm the best option for them, blah, blah, blah. I started sleeping better. And it was just something I noticed, and it was never something promised. Like when I listened to the Dylan James stuff, and it wasn't something where he's like, this will help you sleep at night or get better rest. But I just have like, and I think it's just a side effect of it, that it's like, I have a sense of peace and calm about things. And so I sleep better. I feel like I should say this. I don't know why, but I feel like it needs to be said. So some of you who are having dreams where you have prophetic dreams and then you have these like really scary dreams and something bad happens, how do you tell the difference if it's a prophetic dream or it's just your mind trying to like work through and process your stuff? I told my daughter this because my kids also have this ability, but I told one of them this because she was like, she was worried about like dreams she was having. And I said, look, when the ones that come true, because she had a dream, she's had prophetic dreams. Um, and I said, the ones that come true always feel really good. Like they don't feel, or even if it's like something like when I've had dreams that something sad was going to happen, or even when I've had claircognizance that somebody was going to pass away, even somebody young, it's always really calm. So the dreams that are stressful and upsetting are not your prophetic dreams. They're just not. So even when I've gotten the visions about like people gonna pass and not knowing who it wasn't that it was a stressful or, I was like, oh gosh, like, like thinking it was somebody that it wasn't, and then thinking, oh my God, is this the last person I'm going to see them? I knew that it wasn't for me to try and stop the event from occurring, that it wasn't like, it doesn't work that way. If you're meant to stop something, you'll stop it. If you're, most of the time you're not. Yeah, I felt hormone shifts. So yes, I was having high estrogen for a while and my periods were wonky. Now I'm worried about fertility. You don't need to be worried about fertility. You're fine. You're a fertile myrtle. You are fertile myrtle. Don't you worry. But focus also on some of this like mindset and not having the anxiety and like working on. So during the day, your mental diet, I want you to pay attention to what follows I am. Like when people go, oh, I'm so stupid, like nix that. You're not. You're human. Humans aren't perfect, but you're perfect just as you are. Humans make mistakes and we learn through mistakes. So, okay, so I learned something new today. Bam, change it. Change the perspective. Okay? But you're fertile. Don't worry. Totally fertile. When you decide you're going to have them, you will be pregnant. Okay. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me this evening. I hope you all have a wonderful, or however you identify. It doesn't have to be just binary. Just identify as non-binary. Then thank you for joining me. I hope you all have a lovely evening and a nice week. You can join me again tomorrow morning. I will be on at 10:30 doing a manifesting chat. I will be here Thursday and Friday as well. Have a lovely night. Get some, enjoy your week. Be kind to yourself. Remember to pay attention to what follows I am. Have a good one. Bye. Thank you, KK.